Make sure to subscribe to Ben on YouTube so you can stay up to date on everything Humble.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. It's your boy, Ben Humble. And today on the show, I've got my man, Dean Graziosi here. Dean, welcome, man. So good to see you.
What's up, man? Good to be here.
Good to have you here. So everybody knows we're up in Canada, Dean, and your name is pretty wide in Canada and the US, all over the world. I know you've done a lot of different things, my man. But I think today I'd love to kind of investigate and get to the core of some of the stuff that makes you who you are, right? I know.
All right, let's do it.
You're a master marketer, written a lot of different books, New York bestseller, accolades go on and on and on. So just excited to have this conversation for our audience. So let's just start, man, with everybody says, let's go back to the beginning. What got it all started for you? But let's just start with who is Dean? What is Dean? What makes you trigger? What gets you excited? Why don't we just start with that and just see where?
Yeah, that's a really great question, man. And I want to give you kudos for taking the time, effort, and energy to give back to people. You know, podcasts might lead you to more business. It might help you promote your brand. But at the end of the day, every week you're crunching to put out content that delivers value to the world, man. And I got to give, it's why I'm here. That's why I'm here to help you deliver that message, because at the end of the day, I think we're all built to contribute. And sometimes we just got to get success out of the way first, right? We got to put on our own life preserver before we put on somebody else's. So once you get success out of the way, there's nothing better than contributing. And to me, podcasts, creating courses, trainings, giving back the knowledge that you know, you're contributing. So awesome job.
You're speaking my language, man. And I think we're very much on the same page. You know, real quick. So coming from Romania as a refugee, landed in Austria, came to Canada, oldest of 9 kids. My mom and dad work 2 or 3 jobs. So all we have is the opportunity to serve, to work, to remain in abundance, and to stay as humble as possible and keep going. So I think we resonate a lot with some of our upbringing elements, dude.
I appreciate you sharing that. So who am I? You know, that's a question that would have been different. How old are you, Ben?
I'm 35, brother.
You're 35. That question's different in every decade of my life, right? And I think it's a really great question, not just a question to be like, oh, this is the beginning of this podcast. Let's get this question out of the way. Like, I think if I'm here, listen, take what serves you from this interview, throw the rest away. You have plenty of things you could listen to and watch. If you're going to spend time with us, I'm going to deliver what I think is going to hit right to the core, right? I've been in business since I was 14 years old selling firewood, and I'm 51 years old, been blessed to fail miserably, lose it all, have doubt, have inner self-doubt, feel like an imposter, be envious of others. And I also know what it's like to have 13 companies and do well and partner with people I admire, and multiple New York Times best-selling books and biggest launch in internet history. I get to know some really cool stuff, but I know both sides. But who I am now is a question we all should be asking ourselves, because things change. I want to be honest. In my 20s, when growing up with no money, I understand your journey. We all have our own journey. I didn't grow up with money. I lived in a trailer park with my mom, and we struggled for money. In my 20s, when I started making money, you know, who I was someone that loved to work hard and play hard. I would jump on a plane on a Friday morning or Friday after work, and I'd fly to Miami, and I'd have fun. I'd party on the beach, and I'd go out late, and I'd jump back on a plane Sunday. I'd be at work at 5:30 in the morning on Monday, never missed a day. But that was kind of, at that moment, it made me feel like I was doing something nobody in my family could ever do, and I was exploring the world. That couldn't be farthest from exciting in my life right now. It would be torture if I jumped on a plane to go party and have drinks and stay up till 4 o'clock in the morning. I would die. Right now in my life, what success means to me is I love being a good dad. I have a 13 and 11-year-old and a 5-month-old. I love being a good husband. You know, I don't think I was so great in relationships in the past. The relationship I'm in now, I'm married to the love of my life. I work on it every single day to see her smile, see her happy, that our love grows. There's nothing more important. There's nothing more important than me growing and contributing, to be a good team leader, to be a better person each day. Everything else outside of that really doesn't mean much to me. I love coaching Little League and softball and picking my kids up from school. Might sound boring if you're in your 20s, 30s. That's okay. We all need to find that thing that gets us out of bed early, that has us leap to our feet, that you don't need an alarm to hit off. Like, whatever that is, that question Ben said seems so simple, but it's everything. Like I fight every day to have the control of my life that no one tells me what to do, that I can leave every single day, no matter what, at 2:45. And when my kids walk out of school, their dad is standing there waving to them like, hey guys, I'm here. And I will die for that. I'll die for the fact that I could be there and have the time to listen to my wife and communicate on such a deep level that I know that woman's got my back no matter what, and I got hers, right? That might sound too personal, but it gets my ass out of bed on fire every day because I know what it is I'm fighting for. So don't just disregard that question. It was a deep and awesome question. When you're done with this podcast today, what gets you up? What keeps you in bed? And what can make you decide to just say the hell with it? I'm going to take uncomfortable, imperfect action, and I'm going to push harder than I ever had before because I deserve what?
I love it. Let's touch on this, man. I want to investigate this a little bit further. I believe we're a product of our convictions. So I believe that some of us have such deep convictions, maybe because of our adversity, our upbringing, something that stirs us in the moment. And what I love about what you're talking about, dude, is you're talking about seasonality of life. In my early 20s, man, Gary Vee's got this thing like punt your 20s. And I punted my 20s and I worked and I got married 12 years ago. My wife and I didn't see each other that much because all I did was work. And I realized today that it happened, but maybe it didn't need to happen. And in the moment, it was exciting and fun and it was adventurous. But today is the furthest thing from what I want to do. I don't want to punt anything. I'd like to grow, evolve, help, and serve people. So I love the seasonality of this question because it really starts to shape, not just our character, but also where we're at in a moment in time. I think it's so hard as us as individuals to just try to label people with, well, Dean's a real estate investor. By the way, you're probably the only guy who's just as passionate as I am about this stuff. But Dean's a real estate investor. He's an author. He's this. He's a father. I think we're human beings. God's created us in his perfect image, and we evolve and we grow. And that's why personal development is such an important piece for me. So in this season of your life, like if we'll call it that for descriptive use here, in this season of your life, you mentioned some beautiful things around family and harmony and everything else. I want to ask you a question. I really believe that so many of us are so capable of solving big problems, but because we can't get out of our own way financially, we solve $20 problems all day. When we have the ability to solve $1 million problems, multi-million-dollar problems with our creativity and being willing to think in abundance. So I noticed after about $1 million, I hit $1 million at 30, from scratch. We did it. We hustled, we grind, all those adjectives. And, through mentorships and through inspiration from people like you and so many others that, that are out there. But beyond that, I realized, I realized money is just a game. And we can do amazing things with money beyond serving our own basic needs. Where is your passion now financially? That's such an important question to me. After you've made millions and been able to take care of your family. Question. Yeah, let's jump into that, brother.
Okay, so first off, you're completely speaking the same language. If you listen to anything I've written, read, been talking about for over a decade, people tell me all the time, what are some of everybody wants the magic pill. There is no magic pill. It's a accumulation of a lot of little things. But one of the and the accumulation of the little things aren't actually the big things. The little things are everything. Little hinges swing a big door. The little things that you think are nothing are everything. And what you just said is so powerful. People always say to me, just give me one thing that can make me more successful. And know what I say? You want bigger success? Solve bigger problems. You're worried about $5 problems. I've said that so many times, right? Like if I go to a restaurant, I'm being honest. If I go to a restaurant and order chicken and they bring me well-done steak, I just eat it. Who cares? It's insignificant in life, right? I see someone, that maybe you cut them off by accident and you wave to them and they flip you off and they scream. I feel bad for them. Yeah. Because they're worried about the things that mean nothing, right? I believe at the end of our life when we're talking to our maker, imagine sitting down next to God and he says, okay, so tell me how you did. I would have done it, but, it was hard covering the rent and my wife just never had my back. And, my boss was a jerk. So how was life? Well, I was okay, right? I picture God saying, oh my God, I gave you free will. I put you on this earth. I made you human. I gave you limitless boundaries. And you let those little things stop you. I wish you could have seen your full potential. And, Dale Carnegie said that in, I think, How to Win Friends and Influence People. He said he thinks the biggest plight of the human race is knowing you have more potential and not using it. And that's what I think. Like, I put myself in those situations, Ben. Like, the day I'm having my conversation with God, I'd much rather say, you watched, I went after it. I failed most of the time, but I went after it compared to saying, I know you gave me this incredible life. And yeah, I squandered it by worrying about the little things. So I do everything in my power to try to achieve greater problems. And here's the thing, when you look at it that way, it doesn't become problems, because I think people believe, and I know there's two parts to your question, I'll get to both of them. I think people believe you get to a certain level of income and problems go away. In some cases, I've been broker than broke, so I know the problems on both sides. I know the problems of going to school without money for lunch and pretending I'm not hungry. Like, I know both sides, right? I know what it's like to have zero and nothing but debt. Also know what it's like to have money, but problems don't go away. They just transform. They transition. And then you get the grit to handle deeper and better problems, right? And then you get a new focus that's like, I'm in a place in my life, and it took me a while to get here, be like, problems, bring that shit on. Excuse my language, but bring it, because if I can solve that big problem, I can get a big result on the other side of it.
Yeah.
And I want to solve bigger problems all the time. I mean, Tony Robbins and I are obsessing on solving the education problem in America. Like, that sounds crazy, but is it? We're making a pretty good dent right now.
I love that. And somebody has to do that. And, don't worry about it. Just be yourself, be authentic, say what you need to say on the show. Even though we're Canadian, we'll get over it. All right. But what I love what you're saying, because it's beyond the passion. It's more about, okay, what's the true impact of what I'm doing? And I think if people just took a step back and just took some perspective, and this is where mentorship for me comes in play. A mentor looks at you and gives you perspective over what you could be doing. And instead of focusing on the small little granular details of all the insignificant little crap in our lives, like you just said, somebody cuts you off, you save 30 cents here, you do this over there. We can focus on miraculous things that truly move the world forward. Be the hands
and I know sometimes, I mean to cut you off, I'm sorry. And I know sometimes you could be listening going, that's great, Dean, Ben, you guys got money now. I have to worry about the little stuff. Man, I get that. But sometimes your subconscious plays tricks on you. Your subconscious is telling you that's for dreamers. You're not a dreamer. That's for people who got money. You don't have any money. That's for people who have resources. You got no resources. Your brain will play tricks on you. And here's what I want to tell you. If you remember anything from this interview, remember this. Don't wish for resources. Don't wish for a partner with money. Don't wish someone to lend you money to flip your first house. Don't wish that your parents supported you or your girlfriend had more belief in you. You know what you wish for? Wish to be massively resourceful. If you look at the most successful people in the world who sustained it, not got lucky and flipped one house or did one business deal, the people who make it are those that you're like, they always land on their feet. It's not landing on their feet. They're resourceful. One thing I'm literally obsessing trying to teach my son right now is resourcefulness. My daughter just intuitively has resourcefulness. My son will get to a certain point and he'll go, well, Dad, it's broke. It's not working. I'm like, don't accept that. But it's broke right in front of me. I don't care. There's got to be a way. But what if there isn't? There always is a way. And I'm literally teaching what if he said to me, literally, we had this conversation this morning. He said, well, what if that doesn't work? I'm like, then you try something else. And if that doesn't work, you try something else. And if that doesn't work, you try something else. He's like, well, how many times you try? I'm like, as many times as it takes. There is no limit. It's not resources. I tell my kids all the time, I'm like, I'm not leaving you my money. I'm giving it away to charity. So I need to leave you with the gift of resourcefulness so you can have this abundance mindset and then create abundance in your life so you can do what we're all meant to do, is grow and contribute, right? When you're 20 something years old and you're broke and like, contribute, I have no idea how to do that. I'm trying to contribute to me. That's good. Don't feel you're greedy. Get that life preserver on. Get your feet anchored. Gain knowledge from mentors and read books and go to masterminds and get into workshops. Gain it, go fast, work hard now so you can live easier later. And don't worry about contributing now. I was blessed to spend a week with Richard Branson on his island. I helped contribute a lot of money to one of his charities. I got invited. I had to get to sail around his island with him, and I was dying to ask him some questions. And I told him, I said, I want to contribute more. Maybe I'm not doing enough. And I know I'm digressing here, so you can reel me back in. But he said to me something that I'll never forget. He's like, do you right now, man. God gave you the gift to know how to make money. You worry about you right now, and when the time is right, then you can give it all away. He goes, I didn't do much at all until my 50s. He goes, now all I do is give away, right? He's like, 90% of my day is Virgin Unite giving back. He goes, but I had to make it first. So know that even if this doesn't make sense to you right now, be selfish, be greedy, get yourself secure, because then you realize the next best thing is contribution. And you ask me what lights me up right now. Or what does money mean to me? One thing is, when people say money doesn't create happiness, I say you haven't given enough away. Like, I'll tell you something, and this isn't to be like, oh, look what I did, but Tony Robbins is a dear friend, 60th birthday. His wife wants to do something really special. Tony doesn't like gifts. The only way he allowed her to do a birthday party is if they raised money for Operation Underground Railroad. I don't know if you ever heard of them, but I had no idea that that was such a problem with child slavery and sex slaves. It's one of those things, it's so harsh that it's really easier to look away. If you want to know the truth, it's like, here's $100, please just make this go away, you know? And his birthday, there was no looking away. They got the owner, the creator, founder of Operation Underground Railroad. They played the videos and saw how many kids are being stolen for their organs, and other ones that start sex like at 8 years old. They're so, I mean, just stuff that was so painful, but I was so awakened. And to have the ability, you know, they got to a point and they're like, let's raise money now for this. And there was 5,000 and 10,000, and to be able to stand up, and I donated $500,000 that night. Mark Benioff, the owner of Salesforce, and me were the two largest contributors that night. And when someone says money doesn't buy you happiness, my wife and I left. She was 9 months pregnant. We went up to the hotel room and we were just elated that we were able to, because we know every $1,500 saves a child. And we were doing the math and we were like, oh my God, let's make more money next year so we can, if we do it again next year, let's do $1 million next year, right? You find new things to be inspired. That's the best thing I could tell you. In my 20s, I was running away from being broke. In my 20s and 30s, I wanted to retire my parents, my family, help all those I loved. 40s, I wanted to be secure and build a foundation for my kids. My 50s, I want to leave a legacy and make sure I give back as much as possible.
Story is so beautiful. And you know what, from me to you, thank you. Thank you for doing that. Not enough people recognize the selflessness in that. And you know, there's many people that may judge that or have opinions, and everybody will have opinions in this world. But thank you for doing that. It's you know what, this is a resemblance among business owners and people of faith. It comes down to kind of a key word for me, which is stewardship. So, you know, in 1989, my dad and our family were in a communist country of Romania, no freedom of speech, religion, anything. And my dad's a Christian. And what happened was, wow, he couldn't get a job. He couldn't go to university. He was labeled as a Christian, and the prejudice was real. My dad made a conscious decision at 27 years old with 5 children that he's going to flee on foot. And he had to leave 2 kids behind because only my mother and him could carry us. I was the oldest. I could run. He grabbed my sisters. He had to leave my brother and sister behind with the only hope that one day, if he arrived in a refugee camp somewhere, that hopefully the Red Cross would step in and reunite the family. And that defining experience in my life of running in the evening and hiding during the day, and it took us 3 days to finally make it to the refugee camp. When we got there, we were thanking God, thank you that we could live here, we could arrive here. He left everyone and everything he knew behind. And he arrived there 8 months later, just about. My mom goes to the hospital, gives birth to my sister Elizabeth, and on the same day we were reunited with my brother and sister Daniel and Simone from Romania. So wow,
so I can feel that in my heart. I can get emotional. I can't.
It's such a powerful journey, and I'll touch on what you're talking about here. We come to Canada. He has 3 more children. They work 2-3 jobs, and he said you have an opportunity to serve. And I believe that is the key word here. Is, you know, the way we look at money and the way we look at everything we have comes down to that key thing of stewardship. If you just assume it's not yours, but it's entrusted with you for a season, and you can become ultimately responsible, then you can be a vessel to do amazing things in this world. And just like your experience, similar, you know, I'm part of Caring House Project. You know, we've done some amazing stuff with their ministry in Haiti, where they raise money through Frank McKinney, which I think you know who he is. And we were able to raise $151,000 in about 40 minutes with one of my mentors, Mark, and we did another $25,000 raise. And it's not about comparison, it's about completion. Hey, this completes the cycle. In our Maslow's hierarchy of needs, once we have food and shelter and all the other basic things that we want, the ultimate fulfillment comes from helping other people fill their basic needs. So I'm thankful for your heart and your willingness to just be a steward.
By the way, if you guys are interested in real estate investing and you are in Canada, I wrote a book here called Real Estate Secrets Exposed. Learn how to actually make money virtually, which is cool, from the comfort of your home. Yes, it is possible if you understand the value and how to do wholesaling. And if you don't know anything about wholesaling, you need to grab this book. It's absolutely free. There's no page numbers. There's nothing else in there. It's just ready to go, though. Humble.ceo to grab your free copy.
Can you maybe reference that in relation to money? Such a heavy subject, man. And people get all kinds of shit twisted about money. You know, it's like, well, greedy and not greedy in this. How is your viewpoint maybe changed? And maybe you can give some perspective to folks looking at you for guidance and, thoughts.
Really great question, man. And thank you for sharing that story. It hit my heart, and you make me appreciate my life and my childhood. No matter where we come from, we all have our story and journey. And it's your story that I wish more people could hear it, especially sometimes when we forget what our country or Canada, how we fought for independence and where we came and the freedoms we have. And sometimes I feel like if someone could be in another country in someone else's shoes, we could come back here and have a little more gratitude for the blessings that we have. But, entitlement sometimes happens, and it's not anybody's fault. It's just an evolutionary process. So thank you for sharing that. That's so powerful. So let me just tell you what I believe on money is somehow we have this deception of money that it's like if money was on one couch, you were at a therapist's and you were getting therapy, and money was on one couch, you were on the other, and the therapist was in the middle. Could you imagine how crazy you'd say is, I hate money, to love you is greed, to love you is disgusting, I hate you. And the next world is the therapist says, well, why are you stressed? Well, I'm stressed because I want more out of life. I want to give my kids more. I want to do the finer things. I want to help other people. Well, don't you need more money to do that? Yeah, but I hate that. Wait a minute. Like the therapist would just be like, oh my God, I think you're insane. You say you hate the thing that you really deep down want the most.
Yeah.
So why don't you just have the nerve to say that money solves problems? Like literally money. My parents both struggled and had nothing. They never had $1 in the bank. My mom worked 3 jobs to make $90 a week, right? Always working hard. She cleaned houses, cut hair, and painted houses. That's what she did my whole childhood. Always come home with her elbows and hands hurting. She got arthritis young from working so hard. When I got enough money, I retired my mom. I've been sending her a check for over 20 years. I buy her a new car every 3 years. I just bought her a new house, and she won't let me spend a lot of money on her, just so you know. My mom, like a humble house, a humble car. I try to send her more money, she sends it back. But my mom, that solved the problem. Money solved my mom's problem. My dad, I retired my dad 20 years ago. It solved that problem. We provided 6 million meals through Feeding America. We built 2 churches in Africa in the last 18 months. That money solved problems, right? And when you look at it through that lens, don't kid yourself. It also solved my problems. I don't have to worry like my parents had to. My kids will have choices. They're not going to be entitled, but they have choices. They get great medical care. We don't have to wait in lines and things like I know that sounds crazy, but I was able to secure my life best. And now I get to help others and get to solve problems. And one thing that I believe is something that messes with people. Somewhere deep down, I think we believe that if we make more money, we're taking it away from someone else. And if you have any of that thought, you will never be successful, because that's not the case. Unless you're physically robbing people or selling somebody a crappy product, then you are robbing them. But if not, wealth creators get to do what? You hire people to work for you. You get someone to clean your house, mow your lawn, you do your dry cleaning, you buy more groceries, you go out to dinner more, you help fuel the economy. And then what happens when you do that? You're helping other people prosper. That's the magic of capitalism. I mean, so you really just got to check your beliefs on money, because if you need more of it and want more of it, it's okay. Just make sure you have the ability to say, let me get my feet anchored, and then do what you can for the people you love and the people you don't even know. And I think that's what, allows us to flourish and keep going forward.
So let me touch on that, because it is a deceptive cadence when it comes to money, right? This is my belief system. I believe money is a math problem. Simple as that. We either solve it or we don't. But it's difficult to have that conversation. If you have one Honda Civic that's 10 years old, that Honda Civic to you is life. takes you to school, takes your kids to school, takes you to work, grocery store, all these other things. When that car breaks down and it costs you $1,000, that emotional consequence and that tether to money becomes so difficult to imagine for a moment. When a guy like me says money's a math problem, you're thinking this guy's full of crap. That's ridiculous. There's no way it's a money. These guys are greedy, because people can't understand for a moment that there's always a better way of doing it. A lot of people in their life want to do more. I want to work harder. My mom had a restaurant, dude, for 10 years in it. And dude, she worked her ass off for 10 years just to get to the point where it was just a small little business, not really producing much revenue. And it's like, I can't work more than 14 hours a day. I can't work more than 16 hours a day. But you said the most amazing word, which is create. We can either create or we can try to copy and mimic. And the reality is that if we understand that money is a creative process, and just to get a little technical, when we got off the gold standard in 1971, we all of a sudden, we weren't tethered to anything. Money is a piece of paper that means a whole lot of nothing, because they can print it tomorrow. It's called currency because it moves. It's called currency for a reason. So my point is simple. If we can solve the math problem, then we can open up our abundance. But the only way to solve the math problem is remove the emotional consequence from money. If you treat money as an idol and as a god and it means everything to you, you're going to be stuck, my friend. And this conversation, I wanted to help as many people as possible, but most people are so tethered to money because money almost becomes their identity. Where I recognize today, money is simply a game. Money is simply a tool to be used. And money doesn't make you good or evil or anything. Money is simply available to those people willing to be creative and just reach for something. You get the reachers versus the leechers. So many people like you and I, we just want to reach, dude. I want to hang out with as many reachers as possible. Big ambitions, big goals, big dreams. And then you got the folks who maybe are unsatisfied with what they've done. They've compromised in their life somewhere, and they accepted a job they didn't like. Maybe they have a lifestyle they don't enjoy. They have things that they didn't dream about when they were a 6-year-old little kid. And then now they've accepted it. So now all they can do is leech and just pull. So if somebody's trying to get out the crab bucket, it's like all the crabs are pulling him back in. So my mindset is, listen, once you guys make $100,000 of passive income from real estate or something else, everything above that is just surplus. You have a car and a house and things. It just becomes a game. If you drive a Lamborghini, it's a game. If you've got an 8,000 square foot house, it's a game. I think it's a game, which sometimes can be an unsensitive way of looking at it, but I think it's a deep reality of what it is. Would you talk on that? Do you view it that way, or is your perspective different? Because you've been in this longer than I have here. What's your take on that idea?
So I love this. And by the way, I really love the way you think. I love your depth of knowledge on things as well. Because some people, I don't like to talk about topics if I'm not clear on them.
I'm not surface level, bro. I'm not surface level.
Yeah, but I love your depth of understanding. Like I can tell you put thought in this. It's not just, hey, what do you think of money? But let me just simplify it. Life is a struggle, no matter what, right? But it's not. It's an elegant struggle, right? I mean, if you all the way back to Buddhism, right? It's like it's an elegant struggle that we get to overcome. And whatever your beliefs are, if we're going to take this journey of life, I believe in God. I'm a Christian. I believe God gave you all the tools to thrive. And I don't believe that God would look down on me for utilizing the gifts he gave me. I think he would if I had money and used it in the wrong way. I didn't help other people. I became a bad person. I think money and alcohol do the same thing to people. Just magnifies who you are, right? You get to have a magnifying glass. And if you keep the right intentions, I believe that we have a right, an obligation to become the best version of ourselves. And money, there's so many things I want to say, but if you just think of money itself, like you were saying, as a tool, as a vehicle, or as an idol, it's two completely different feelings. And when you take money as a tool to enhance, change, impact, and then grow as a person, then all of a sudden it becomes a different, and it's funny you say a game, but I think saying a game, some of you might be offended by that. But I want to share one of the biggest byproducts, and I'm sorry, I'm hesitating here because I want to share something that's really personal. But one thing money did for me, and maybe it's the same thing, it could be in your life, but one thing money did for me that I never expected, it absolutely made me a better human. Because in my 20s without not having money, all I did is chase money because I didn't like being broke. I didn't like my family being broke. And I ran after money like it was everything. And I just kept thinking when I got the money out of the way, then everything would be great. And I have to tell you, when money got out of the way, what I found was someone who didn't work on the issues that I had from my childhood. I didn't work on the fact that my parents were married 9 times and sexual abuse and physical, like crazy stuff that like I ran from all that because all I was doing was chasing money, retired my parents, paid off the bills, got into a nice house. And then all of a sudden, like you said, over 100 grand, over $500,000, whatever the number is, when the chase was over on that like rapid pace that I needed it, you know what I had to do? You know what I had to do? I had to look in the mirror and see me. And I wasn't the man that I wanted to be. And what money allowed me to do is really look inside, and it allowed me to work on my personal growth and get a therapist and go deep and read the right books and find a better version of me, really understand, are these the values I want to hold the rest of my life, or do I want to alter these values? How's my relationship with my maker? Not so good. I want a deeper relationship. When money was out of the way, I got to be a better man, which results now I'm a better husband. I have goosebumps thinking about it. I'm a better dad. Like, I'm an amazing dad. I don't mean that like, oh, look at me. But I work on being a dad because I got that out of the way. And because I got out of the way to become and dig in and find a better version of me. And because of that, because I found a better version of me, because I created different values, now I'm hell-bent on helping more people. It's why I love Operation Underground Railroad, or building the church, or 6 million meals, or taking care of my parents, or people that I care about. So I don't know if that was the answer you were looking for.
It's powerful, absolutely.
But that was the biggest byproduct of money that I wasn't expecting. It wasn't the fame. It wasn't the flying on a private jet. It's like, I'm a flawed human, just like all of us are, and I want to be a better version of me.
I love this. And this reminds me of something Ed Milet said one time. He said that I want to double who I am every year, my effectiveness, my wealth, my everything, so that I can keep growing. I think when you're able to achieve a level of financial success, you're able to buy one thing: space, a time and space. Dude, I was pretending to be somebody for 10 years I didn't want to be. I wore the realtor shoes, you know, the crappy slip-ons that you go into like people's houses. And, you know, I wore the cliche clothes, and I spoke like everybody else. And I did all the things because I grew up in a conservative church environment. And God forbid you were somebody's point of gossip. God forbid you were different. God forbid you had pride. God forbid any of this other stuff. And the moment that I hit 30 years old and I had enough money to live any lifestyle that I wanted, I was able to find the space. And in that space, I was able to go back to myself at 12 years old and say, I'm not this freaking guy. I'm the guy who likes to wear his hat like this and say bullshit every once in a while and write rap songs and do music, the stuff that I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about helping people because I saw my dad do it. And I'm passionate about doing the things that matter to me. So I came back and changed our company culture. I came back and changed the things that weren't in alignment. And too many people, in my opinion, are grinding and not aligning. But we're grinding because we don't have enough, and we see money as a scarcity instead of abundance. So I get it. I've been there, dude. I've been broke. I've been doing carpet cleaning at 3 in the morning at 10 cents a square foot just to save enough money for a duplex. And the biggest problem wasn't that I wasn't working hard enough, is that I didn't understand the freaking game of money. I didn't know how this worked. And if you make it seem like this massive intellectual thing and this very, very oppressive thing, then you're not going to win. If you see it as a game, it becomes fun. Like if you know how to wholesale and flip houses and do this stuff, and you can get in all different types, you can make $20,000 in an hour worth of time if you have the right marketing channel, you know how to process leads, speak with the seller, and close the deal. I didn't know that before, man. 20 grand was huge. It was me working 6 months on a rehab job, trying to swing a hammer and learn how to do tiles off of YouTube. So I think it's brilliant what you're saying, and I resonate so deeply with this thought, which is the money itself allows you, I think, to open up. And when you start adding personal development, dude, I was 50 pounds, almost 50 pounds heavier. I gave up my health. I gave up, parts of my marriage. I gave up my sanity, my time, and my passions for almost 12 years in pursuit of money. And the moment I hit $1 million, I said, I'm going to die before I enjoy more. And the crazy part is once I let go of all that stuff and I started being myself and getting back.
More money came in.
More money came in, man. It took me almost 12 years to make $1 million, and I made my next million in a year and a half. Because it opened up. It completely shaped and changed. And now I get to be myself, and I get to be unapologetic. So I love talking to you because I resound so deeply with, number one, your story, your upbringing, even some of your adversity pieces. But the reality is just the way of thinking. It frees you to do the things that you would do if you had it. And I have this permeating thought, maybe you could touch on this, but when I'm 70 years old and I'm sitting in a nursing home, the only thing matters is, am I sitting in a nice nursing home or the one where I can't even wipe myself? Like, nobody cares when you're 70 what little Jenny in grade 12 thought of you. But we have this thing like, what will my parents think? What will my friends say? What will this say? And I remember Grant Cardone saying one time, your biggest problem is obscurity. Nobody knows who you are. And I thought, isn't that such a sad thing? Because, and I'll tie it in with this, I believe as a Christian too, brother, that we are the hands and feet of Christ. And when we look at all the worldly problems, like, oh, there's, this is happening and this is happening and this is happening. There's a beautiful song up there that says, and God said, and that's why I created you. See, it's up to us to fill our own cup, live in abundance, and then go into the world and make change happen. But if we can't manage personal responsibility over our own emotions, thoughts, finances, health, mind, body, and spirit, how are we going to help our community? It's a falsity. So I love the abundance and the growth thinking. So the question to you then, just throwing it back here, is I didn't recognize for 10 years that I could do so much more. I thought I had to make 100 million to give it away, but now I realize I can inspire 100 million people to give $1 away. At which point in your development or mindset did your level of abundance just exponentially grow versus it being a linear, gradual wealth creation process?
We came to Canada in 1991 with nothing but a will to thrive. They risked everything they had, left behind everyone they knew.
The only way out of the country was illegal, and the risk was huge.
I adopted the mindset that my parents had of faith and vision for my life. You see, they helped me understand that you get to decide what happens in this world. By the age of 30, I became a millionaire. I refused to accept scarcity, limiting beliefs, or someone else's excuses. So you want to know what the secret is? People ask me all the time, what's the secret? You want to know what it's going to take for you to succeed? Here's the truth.
At which point in your development or mindset did your level of abundance just exponentially grow versus it being a linear, gradual wealth creation process?
Really great question. And I have to tell you, I feel like I'm mimicking what you said, but when I made it all about them, so I'm in the self-education industry, right? I mean, I own hundreds of real estate. I own hundreds of houses right this moment as I sit here. Real estate's still a huge thing in my life. But really, I'm in the self-education industry, writing books, creating courses, masterminds, workshops, live events. And when really, I always had the desire to serve, but not at the level I've had in the last 5 years. The last 5 years, honestly, it's almost an obsession. It's what, besides my family, it's the thing that gets me out of bed on fire, is because I wanted it so bad, just like you did, man. I wanted it so bad, and I had a search to try to find a mentor. Now, listen, when I started, there was no internet. There was no online. There was no Facebook, no Instagram, no YouTube. You couldn't go watch a video. You had to find a freaking mentor or read a book, and I was horrible in school, so I didn't read books. So it shifted when I realized what a responsibility I have, not just to sell, but a responsibility to really, if people are going to listen to me, I need to step up my game. And when I started caring in an obsessive way and stopped looking at like, well, don't sell that because we're giving that away. Like, no, people need that. Let's just do it anyway. When I started making decisions to serve, my company, my business grew exponentially, like beyond anything I ever could have imagined. And I have to tell you, I keep my eye focused on service now more than I ever had. And again, it's a hard conversation if you're just starting, man. If you're listening right now, you're like, that's great, Dean. You guys are at a whole nother level. But man, I wish I knew this stuff sooner. Yeah. Listen, if you have 100 million and you give 10 million away, what's the difference if you have $100 and you give $2 away? It's all a part of what you have. I know that 100 could be your last 100, but all I know is I wish I would have looked at service sooner, because the byproduct of service, the byproduct of value creation, the byproduct of truly helping people at the highest level is success beyond what you could ever imagine.
I love it. Two things I want to touch on before we kind of conclude here. I know we're running out of time. My pastor told me this thing. He says, when we live with imagine a closed fist. When we live with a closed fist and a closed heart, nothing can leave, but nothing can come back in. But when we live with an open hand and an open heart, abundance can flow out and abundance can flow back in. And I think like that's the visual that I get for you, is just living in such a sense of deep abundance and obedience to your calling that you're just moving through faith every day. And it's like you're attracting wealth and people and relationships and conversations and beautiful family into your life versus always chasing it. So that leads me to kind of my last piece here. For folks that are brand new, for folks, because I'm a very much results, just like you. I'm a results guy. Just give me the meat, but give me the results, man.
Yeah.
I will do the work. I'll bust my ass. Just tell me what I got to do. And you know, I've been following your journey for a while in books like Millionaire Success Habits and stuff like that. What can people, and I know this is a kind of a vague and difficult question, but if they're struggling and maybe they're like saying, Dean, this sounds great, man, but it's a whole nother level. I need a very tactical, practical step. I'm sure you have a lot of them, but would you be able to isolate just a couple of things that people should really permeate on and maybe start taking some action on?
Yeah, you know, and I'm sorry that I always go upstream to mindset, because I know if you want to learn real estate, you could learn from Ben and other amazing people out there. Like there is like when you want to wholesale a house, I wholesaled my first deal 30 something years ago, right? I did it without guidance. I did my first wholesale deal. And since then I've done hundreds and hundreds, either been a part of, bought wholesale deals, or sold hundreds of them. Mm-hmm. If you want to learn how to wholesale a deal, it is a little tactical. You need to know the strategies. You want to learn from somebody who's been there. But once you learn it, listen, you go out and market and find deals that other people aren't finding. You get creative on the phone and you lock the deal up and you assign it to a cash buyer who's an investor and ready to buy a deal a little bit cheaper than they buy someplace else. Now, I don't mean to oversimplify it, but that's a wholesale deal.
That's it.
There's no magic wand. There's no hidden thing like, oh, don't tell anybody you do this. You market. You find a deal that nobody else found. You find a buyer that wants it. You give them the deal. They give you money. I don't want to oversimplify it. That's not what screws you up from doing a wholesale deal. What screws you up are old habits, limiting beliefs, telling yourself you can't, feeling that the world is against you, your wife or husband not believing in you. It's the little shit that trips you up that makes you compound a thought and a belief that makes it so it's a self-fulfilling prophecy that the wholesale deal doesn't work. Wholesale deals work every single day. It's like saying planes don't fly. Planes are in the air. You just got to understand the aerodynamics. The aerodynamics of success is going upstream to know what's holding you back. Could be a belief that your father or mother gave you 22 years ago. And as crazy as that sounds, that's why I write books like Millionaire Success Habits. There's no way in that book how to make money. I don't teach real estate. I teach the habits for success. I teach morning habits. I teach focusing on solutions. I teach how to bust beliefs. So if I was going to give you one bit of advice, what's standing between you and $1 million a year or 100 grand a year or 20, whatever your number is usually not what you think it is. It's not your lack of resources. It's your lack of resourcefulness. But you can't be resourceful unless you shift your beliefs. So if you were here with Ben and I, we were sitting in the room in my studio and I said, hey, you could do $1 million a year, but why can't you? Whatever that share is, I don't have the money. I don't have the time. I'm working 2 jobs. My husband doesn't believe in me. Usually that is a story. That is a belief you created. And I'm not, some people go, yeah, but I really don't have money. But the belief is way stronger than any other thing. If I could teach my kids one thing, it's to be resourceful. And last thing I'll tell you is a story. I think I heard this from Tony 2 decades ago. A father was very abusive, an alcoholic, and physically abused his 2 kids, his twins. And one twin went on to be massively successful and abundant, had a good life, was an amazing father and husband. The other one went on to be a drug addict and got himself in trouble and ended up in jail. And when they asked both of them, how did you become so successful? How did you become so much in trouble? Both of them had the same answer. With a father like that, what choice did I have? What's the difference between those 2 boys? the belief they had. I'm not trying to oversimplify it, but get the tactics, get the strategies from someone who's already been there. Don't try to learn on your own. It's the dumbest thing in the world. Learn from somebody else. But no, it's not going to be the tactics and the strategies that's going to make or break you. It's going to be the beliefs you have around if you could do it or not. It's the commitment you have. If you decide to burn the boats or dabble, if you decide to commit or not commit, does anything in your life work if you don't commit? Your relationship, your health, losing 50 pounds, being a great dad, nothing works when you're not committed. Why would your success work if you're not committed? Why would your success work if you don't believe? And the last thing, like I teach my kids, is there's always a solution. Every time you get a no, it's just a new creative way to find a yes. So that's what I believe. That was a long answer to a short question.
It was a very thorough answer. And what I love about you, and folks, you can research this later, it's called the Roger Bannister effect. In 1951, Roger Bannister broke the 4-minute mile. And a lot of times in life, we're looking for inspiration, guidance, and so forth. We just need to find somebody that is your Roger Bannister, somebody that's a practitioner, somebody that's done it, and just realize it's just a man. It's just a woman. Yeah. If they can do it, I can do it. If they could conquer their adversity and use it as a weapon to fuel their growth, I can do it. So you've been a Roger Bannister for me, man. To be honest with you, just following you over the years, and we know some similar folks, and I'm hearing great things about you from other friends that have been coached and mentored by you. So folks, if you're just tuning in, or if you've been with us the whole time, what I'd love for you to do is go and support Dean. It's not just money in his pocket, but he's doing amazing things with that money. Buy his books, buy the coaching, buy the programs, support people that are doing phenomenal things for the world. And you know what? You'll be better for it, and you'll grow for it, and you'll find inspiration in it, and just live with an open hand and an open heart. And I promise you, abundance is coming. Just be okay with the season you're in, and be okay that you need to be diligent for a period of time, and you need to stay focused. So Dean, thank you so much for being, this is an awesome conversation, man. I'm thankful to have had it with you. And what I like to do is I actually took everything I've done. You inspired me, by the way. I actually wrote a book about my whole journey.
Oh, that's awesome, dude.
I just got it out about a month or two ago. I just launched. I'm going to send you a copy here and send you some stuff here. And just thankful for you for being this Roger Bannister for me, and I'm watching out these years. So this has been a huge privilege to just be able to connect with you.
You got it, man. Well, keep up the good work. I'm anxious to see your book. I saw the poster in the back there. I was wondering what that was. What a great analogy. So I'm anxious to see it. Keep up the good work, man. If anything I can do for you, let me know. And if you spent this time with us today, the last thing I'll leave you with is, I know I'm talking from a different place, but I never forget what it's like ever, not one day in my life, what it's like to be at the complete opposite side and feeling like there was no hope. So I know both sides, and I just want to tell you, your past doesn't dictate your future. You've heard it, but really hear it from me. And where you are right now, like Ben said, is just a season. And that season may be designed by you, by God, the universe, whatever you believe in, to give you the fuel to make your next season even better. So use the tools, be creative, be innovative, be resourceful, and know that nothing is impossible.
I love it. And folks, thank you so much for tuning in. And Dean, thank you for your time and dropping this value for folks. And folks, just be inspired. We don't do this because we get paid. We do this because we love it and we believe in the power of impact. So stay focused, keep going, don't stop, stay humble. And Dean, God bless you, man. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Ben.
Hey, it's Ben Humble. Thanks for checking out the show. If you like what my guest is talking about and you're getting massive value from it, then scroll to the bottom, open up the description, and follow them on social media. Support them, connect with them. Just scroll down there, click the link, and let's roll. Stay humble.
Make sure to subscribe to Ben on YouTube so you can stay up to date on everything Humble, featuring daily episodes of the Humble Podcast and weekly video content providing motivation, real estate strategies, and personal development for everyday life. Also, follow Ben on Facebook and Instagram for daily interactions. Check out humble.ceo and download a chapter of Ben's new book, From Communism to Capitalism, absolutely free.